What do you remember about the qualifying night?
The strangest thing that I remember was that they just qualified. Friday night was qualifications, and all they did was time the cars. And they ran them through time trials twice, and then there was no racing, which was just so weird to me. There should have been racing that night, I felt like. And but even more so, what I remember was the fact that there were two cars with wings, or air scoops as they called them back in '61. And of course, Roy Robbins set a track record with his wing. And Roy was from Louisville, Kentucky, raced a lot in Indiana, and no one, absolutely no one around here knew anything about wings at that time. And so to see them put those on those cars, it was just crazy. No one really understood what they were going to do, but they understood after it was all over with what would happen. It simply made the cars go faster. There were so many people trying to get into the grandstand that the announcer kept saying, if you just scoot together a little bit more, we could get some more people into the grandstand. And it came to the point where there wouldn't be any more people in the grandstand because there wasn't room. And so what happened was they started sending people by big groups into the pit area. And so a lot of these people, you know, normally would sit in the grandstand, but here they were going to the pit area, and what I knew happened was they wanted to get around the cars. Well, they really couldn't do that, so they had to get the security people to get them away from the cars while things were going on. I don't know how many thousand people went to the infield that night. Oh, it's so different. It was the old wooden grandstand that was built in 1917. That was the main grandstand, and then the wooden bleachers went on west to the pit gate. That held quite a few people, which thankfully they had put that up in 1959, so there was a lot of seating to be had, but they just didn't realize that they did not have enough seating at the time. Now the office was not the brick office that you see now. It was just a little white building in back of the grandstand, and they replaced that in 1983. Of course, the track is exactly the same, but the fences sure aren't. The fences were not very high, and cars were forever going over the tops of them. And since they didn't have the speed back then, they didn't think so much of cars jumping over the fences and hurting the driver or causing problems with the highway that goes by the racetrack. So now we have those fences. You know, just even the lights that were there, just the old track lighting, it was pretty dim at night, but you didn't know any difference because the halogen lights had not been invented yet, I don't believe. But anyway, it was the old lighting system. There was a string of lights from on the front stretch that hung across the track. It had red bulbs and yellow bulbs and green bulbs, and so if the race went green, then the green lights would come on. There was also a string of lights on the backstretch that duplicated that. Those were the only lights that signaled to drivers whether they could race under green or the red had come out. Too many things have changed. It isn't hardly at all like it was back then.